Okay, what you're looking at here is the Duplo V350 form burster. This is used to tear apart paper like this that is actually perforated together and has typically tractor feed on both sides. This particular burster is designed to be used with continuous forms. However, there are also cut sheet versions of the burster that can burst apart individual sheets of paper. An example of this would be checks that are printed on a check signing machine, can be run through the burster and torn apart for distribution. Now, this particular unit has several different features that make it very customizable for different sizes of paper. The V350 can be used with paper up to 17.5 inches wide and up to 12 inches long. Now, here on the front is where you actually insert paper. These are guides. And I'll show you exactly what I'm talking about here. You take a sheet of paper, and I'll show you how to feed it into the machine here in just a little, but it needs to be the right width. And if you have the tractor feed on both sides, it needs to be able to accommodate that as well. Goes right into the machine. And right here you can see 6 all the way up to 16 on both sides. That's inches, as in the paper width. And these right here actually slice the tractor feed off of the sides of the paper. Both this and this. They have little slitter wheels in them. Now to start with, you'll probably want to slide these to the side so that you can adjust the paper width. Now there are some screws right here that you can loosen up and allow these to be adjusted as needed. I'll adjust this in a little bit for the paper we're going to be bursting. And then these, you just slide back in if you're going to be using them, and they will cut the tractor feed off. Now they can be adjusted to cut up to 1 inch of tractor feed off the sides or trim up to 1 inch off of each side of the margin. It can also be built in the factory with a center slitter if you need that for your bursting. The side margin blades can be adjusted. Typically they're set right around 1/2 inch. They can be adjusted up to 1 inch. It just depends on the type of forms paper that you're going to be using, the continuous forms paper. Now if you look down in here, on this guide, there's a screw. Now that can be turned counterclockwise to decrease the amount of margin that you cut off, or it can be turned clockwise to increase the amount of margin that you'll be cutting off. And when you slide the slitter wheel, it will just slide up and rest against that, and it's pretty much set once you slide that against the feed adjustment guide here. Now you'll notice that there's an arrow on the slitter wheel here. Now if for any reason you're not going to be using the slitter wheel, you can actually slide that over, and pretty much as soon as that arrow lines up with the feed guide here, that means that the blades will not be used. They're now out of the picture. Now if you're going to be using an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper that's not very wide, you can actually slide them completely out of the way. But if you're using a 17.5 inch sheet of paper, it is nice to note that arrow lined up with that feed guide there will guarantee that that side margin will not be cut off. Now let me open up the machine. Now the machine will not work with the door open. That is a safety feature. So if I start this up, it's going. As soon as that door opens up, it stops. Now you can adjust the actual bursting distance between paper by loosening this, and you can slide this. If I want the bursting to be in 4-inch increments, I just slide this up to the 4, keep the 2 dots on each side within the window, and just tighten that back up. And now when I run the paper through here, it will burst the paper every 4 inches. Now again, you can adjust this pretty much anywhere within this range. Just loosen that up, and that will slide. Now as the paper enters the machine, these 2 devices here help assist in bursting that paper every 4 inches, or wherever you have that set. Let me loosen it back up. So say we have it at 4 inches, which is very common for paper. You can actually loosen these up and slide these. You can slide them out if you're going to be bursting wider paper. It'll just make it easier to burst the wider paper. Or you can slide it back in, if you're only going to be bursting, say, 8.5 inch wide paper. Now once we feed the paper through the machine, it'll be easier to see exactly what I'm talking about. And I'll go over that again. Now if I slide this back, there is a tractor feed wheel here, and there's actually rubber wheels under here. And as the paper is bursted, it grabs onto the paper while these rubber rollers back here keep pulling it, which tears the paper apart. Now there is a very heavy-duty rubber roller here in the front and a heavy-duty rubber roller here in the back. And these are heavier duty than your standard burster. That's one nice thing about the Duplo bursting machines, is they're very high quality. These roller wheels will last a very long time. And you'll notice over time that as you use the machine, they may get dusty. We do sell rubber cleaner rejuvenator that you can use to kind of keep those clean, and it will also keep the rollers moist, and it will keep them from drying out and cracking. You don't want to use rubbing alcohol or other cleaners because they will damage the rubber rollers. Now as the bursted paper exits the machine, there is an exit tray here with a conveyor system. There are 4 conveyor belts, and that just helps to guide the paper out of the machine and keep the bursted sheets of paper in order. As you burst the paper, if the sheets are anywhere between 3 and 10 inches, you can adjust this roller right here, between 3 and 10 inches. Move it to wherever the length of the paper is and tighten it down. So if I'm bursting 4-inch paper, I'm going to want to bring this around the 4-inch mark and tighten that down. Now this back roller, you're not going to have to worry about that if you're doing anything between 3 and 10 inches, other than you'll probably want it pushed towards the back. Now if you're bursting paper that's going to be between 10 and 12 inches, then you're going to use the back roller. And one nice thing is that this roller actually lifts up and stays up so the paper goes right under it. This again is for the longer paper, in which case you'll adjust this between 10 and 12 inches. Say we're doing 11-inch bursts. I'll adjust it to 11 inches and tighten that down, and we're good to go. Don't forget that you will want to raise this, or it will cause the paper to start curling under itself, and it will not exit the machine properly. So that's how you set up the machine. On the back of the machine there is a power cord that just plugs into the back. Setup of the machine is very easy. Pretty much the only thing you need to bolt on is back here and a few other pieces of the machine, but all in all it's very easy to set up. There is a power switch right here. When you push it in the down position, it is called jogging the paper, and this is used when you're actually putting the paper into the machine, getting it adjusted, trying to get it properly set up. And as long as I have that button pushed down, the machine operates. But as soon as I let go of that, it turns off. Now if I push it up, that actually turns the machine on, and it will stay on even when my finger leaves that button until I turn it off. Now the speed can be adjusted. It is currently on low. You can turn it all the way up to high. And really it just depends on the thickness of the paper and the size that you're using. It's always safe to start out with slow, and you can turn it up from there. If you're going at the maximum speed with some sizes of paper, it may cause a paper jam. Again, you'll want to just adjust that and see how things turn out. If there is any kind of a jam, it's, again, just open the top. It's very easy to get into this machine and clear out the jam or clean the machine out, whatever you need to do. And the faster the speed on the machine, the louder it will get. This machine can produce a little bit of noise as it's tearing the paper apart. So if you're using it in an area with a lot of people, you may want to keep it on the low setting to kind of quiet it down a little bit. Now I'll set it up for some paper. To start with, I'm going to burst some paper that actually does not have any tractor feed on it. So you can set the paper on a table, or you can set it on the floor in front of the machine. This is about 8.5 inches. So I'll probably want to adjust each side to 8.5. And once you get the paper up there, you can kind of make fine-tuned adjustments. Since I don't have any tractor feed, I don't need the side slitters here. So I can disengage those. Now you want to feed the paper around the bottom bar here and have it go up through the machine like that. Now I'm going to lift the top cover so I can kind of see how this looks. Now this paper that I'm going to be using is perforated every 4 inches. So before I even start, I'm going to adjust this to 4 inches. I'll tighten that down. And now I'm going to put the paper into the machine and get it set up. So I brought that into the machine. It's actually already burst the first sheet there. Now these sides, I want pretty much just on the edges of the paper. Tighten those up. And you're pretty much good to go. Now you can keep running it through the machine to make sure that other settings are set correctly. The exit rollers here I will want set to 4 inches. So I'll bring that back to about 4 inches. Now if you have been doing larger paper, you'll want to make sure that that is not disengaged, but that it is pushed down and engaged. And again, the back roller really doesn't matter. Now I'm jogging it right now, but I'm going to turn this on right now. And you will notice that as the paper is bursted, it will come out the machine in a very orderly manner. I can turn that up. Now I can open this up and use the jog feature to kind of give you an idea as to exactly what's going on inside of the machine. Now if you look right about here, this is where the bursting is taking place. And you can see that as the paper is run through the machine, it's just tearing that apart every 4 inches. Now if I need to run a different size paper through, what I can do is I can just take the paper, tear it off, and just run it the rest of the way through the machine. And it's cleared out. And it's ready for me to load another size of paper. Now this lifts up very easily. So you can easily clear the machine out by lifting that up. And the last sheet of paper does not burst, so I'll pull that out. Then you can easily grab these and pull them out of the machine. And there you have 4-inch bursted 8.5 by 11 sheets of paper. Now we will run a sheet of paper through here that has side margins on it, the tractor feed. And because we have the tractor feed on there, it will require about an additional inch on each side, because each side on this particular sheet of paper is about 1/2 inch wide. Now the paper will need to be burst every 11 inches, so I'll open this up and set this back to 11 inches. Tighten that back up. And the back exit rollers here, I will disengage this one, and I'll set this to 11 inches and tighten it down. Again, I like to keep this open when I'm feeding the paper through the machine. Now, if for any reason it doesn't seem quite wide enough, you can make fine-tune adjustments. Now, I will want to bring the side slitters in, and again, you slide them over until they can't slide anymore. I have them set to 1/2 inch. You want to make sure that you have those set to the width of the tractor feed on your paper. So I can just put this in and jog it. I'm pretty much good to go. Just close that top cover. The tractor feed is just cut and just falls down in front of the machine, out of the way. You don't have to worry about that getting pulled into the machine and having it make a mess. So here we go. Now if you look down here, you will see the side margin being cut off. And if I open this up again, you'll be able to see the paper bursting at the 11-inch mark this time. Now we're ready to try something else out. And again, this just very easily lifts up. The paper that has been burst has been kept in a neat order. You can pull it out. And that continuous forms paper is now burst into individual 8.5 by 11 sheets of paper. And you can see the tractor feed down here. It's easy to just grab that, throw that in the garbage. And something else that some people do is they will actually stick a garbage can underneath so that as that is being slid off the sides of the forms paper, it's in the garbage cans and can be easily discarded. Okay, now I'm going to run some more paper through. This paper is a little bit thinner. It needs to be burst every 4 inches, so I'll adjust this back to the 4-inch mark and tighten that down. Okay, now I will re-engage this roller here, which is already set at the 4-inch mark. I'll just bring this up a little bit. And I will now adjust the side guides here and run the paper through the machine. Again, remembering to go behind this bar on the front. Now this is about 7 inches wide with the tractor feed on it. So now I will bring the side slitters back in. Now we'll jog this. Now this is a little bit skinnier, so I will want to bring these in so that they're closer to the edge of the paper. Now this is about the size of what a bill would be that would be sent in the mail. An example of what you might use a burster for. Now there are many printers still that do use this type of paper, which is why many people do need a burster to tear that apart, cut the side trim off, so that it can be mailed. I can hit this onto continuous. Now you'll notice back here that it has kept the paper in order, and that up here it is trimming that side tractor feed off. I can turn that speed up or down. So just lift this up, and these cards can now be easily taken out. And if you have problem jogging these, we do sell paper joggers that make that easy. That used to be this. And again, you can just take the tractor feed that was cut off, and we just have it on the floor here, but again, you can put a garbage can under there, but it's very easy to just grab and throw away. So if you're looking at getting a high quality, fast burster, the V350 is definitely a good option. It can take your continuous form paper, tear it apart, cut off the side trim, and leave it in a format that's easily mailed. It can be easily passed out to people and looks very good.